those times when you have too many ideas and too many thoughts and so many things you want to do and topics you want to cover and you just don't know what to do next is, I think, one of the hardest parts of the creative process, and I'm in it right now. I thought I would try and like imperfectly talk about this phase and to maybe give a bit of advice about it as well, because one of the things I do whenever this happens, and I was doing before I started this video, I write a lot about it. Actually, in my personal life, I don't journal that much, but for art, I do a lot of like, yeah, writing down and trying to navigate through these ideas, because I think it's kind of like having this big like ball of yarn in your head. It's got like 50 different colours in it, and you can't decide which colour you even like the most, but you're going through these yarns and they're tying together and it's all getting knotty and it's just so difficult and you don't know what you're doing. First thing I do is I get every idea down on paper again. I do this quite often. So even if you already have a list, try to write the list again. What still interests you? Is there an idea that keeps coming up that continues to interest you? And is there stuff that you wrote down that honestly you're just not that interested in anymore? You can forget about that. If something doesn't keep your interest, like as a basic idea, it's not going to keep your interest as a project that you're going to work for a long time on. That being said, maybe you think, actually, I quite like this idea, but it needs more to it. And in that case, I would say think about how you could combine ideas. Something you thought of years ago, maybe with all the things you've learned or the different kind of art that you're making now or different kind of things that you're doing, could combine to something a lot more interesting. See if an idea that, wasn't working could have new life to it. So you've got all these ideas and maybe it's a list a mile long, and you're thinking, but okay, what do I do with this? You want to try and take your most favourite ideas and take them to step one of whatever your process is. What I mean by that is take it at least one step further than just literally that basic idea on the page. Often I would do a really basic comic panel start of a story. Maybe I'll just do the equivalent of the first few pages. You don't have to do the whole thing. But this is an example of how basic my comic beginnings usually are. There's no character design there, there's no detail to anything, but I am writing some dialogue, I'm getting some action in the characters, I'm seeing how they would interact with each other, I'm learning something about this idea and how I might go about it. And, for you, that might look very different, but, I think probably within your own context, you could think of an idea. I have this belief that when everything's written as just a basic idea, so I don't know, a story about, like My Toast in the Machine, for example, a story about a human and a robot who run a food truck and are best friends. Very basic idea, that's how that started out. But when we have all of these ideas just as that most basic outline, they're very hard to compare and they're very hard to gauge whether we're actually that interested in them. I think that when they're in this phase, we can see them as almost more great than they are. And I don't mean you don't have a great idea, but ideas in and of themselves aren't always that great. Ideas are just the beginning, It's more about your story and how you tell it than the actual basic idea. But I think until you actually get a feel for what an idea and a story might be like, you actually don't know what you really feel about it. When you do this phase, you will start to notice that the hard work begins. You have to problem solve a lot of things. Okay, but actually how would this character work? And well, actually how would that work? And what would go on? And I think in some ways we are actually trying to avoid that. When we keep things in this ideas phase, we don't have to face the hard work yet. We don't have to face the problem solving yet. And we don't have to let our lovely little idea be ruined by reality, which some of them are. Sometimes when I put something into reality, I realise I don't like it. And that idea was maybe not as interesting to me as I thought it would be. But it can very much help you to align to the ideas that you genuinely find interest and curiosity in. If you're struggling with which idea to choose, try and think why am I making this idea? What message am I trying to send? If you're feeling like I did a bit recently, where I was I do want to react more to current issues and I had this part of me that was maybe missing learning and missing researching and stuff, and I was that's something that at the moment I'm thinking about and matters to me. How can I combine that with these ideas? try and assess, like, yeah, generally, what am I thinking about? What matters to me at the moment? And how can that match with what I'm going to pursue with my creative work? And again, you know, these things again, say you do go, okay, I've got loads of topics that I care about, because I am like that. Kind of do the same thing. Mind map them, write them all down, think about, but okay, what do I have experience of and how can I link these things together? And do I have an idea that actually happens to have a theme that would match well with this concept? All these thoughts can help to redirect you to where you might, you know, be best going. Follow your curiosity, follow your interest. When you get from the idea stage, you do need an interest to sustain you. I think that's probably that for today. I'm sorry if I said it in a quite difficult to understand way. I'm a bit tired today, but I thought maybe that would make it a bit more natural and not too overthought. Yeah, so I hope this could have been helpful to people, and do let me know what you think, and thank you. Goodbye.